Chapter 35. Zhou Qiatu. Not necessarily. If he's a person favored by the heavens, he wouldn't have wasted so many years in the mortal stage. HMPH. He's just been lucky these past few years. This person must not be kept. I'll personally settle him, Tian said in a cold voice. As he spoke, with a wave of his probing hand, the vampires below that were attacking Fairy Wanna suddenly stopped. Qin Zibai, this one a fairy. I'll leave it to you. I'll deal with Gu Hai. Tian laughed softly. Hey, wait. Qin Zibai had a steep annoyance in his eyes. Follow me out. Hey, and let out a loud shout. Rumble. More than 2,000 vampires, along with Tian, suddenly rushed out of the grand formation. Qin Zibai was instantly annoyed in his eyes. What did Tian mean? It was clearly telling Qin Zibai to stop being a wall spectator. To deal with Fairy Wanna, let me do it, and you be a spectator on the wall. How could anything be so good? At this moment, with this opportunity, Tian naturally wanted to drag Qin Zibai down. Boom! In the twinkling of an eye, the vampires in the grand formation were gone. Immortal Wanna's pressure was immediately gone, and she turned to look at Qin Zibai with a cold smile. Qin Zibai, you're going to make a move after all. Ha ha. Fairy Wanna stood up with a cold smile. HMPH. Qin Zibai let out a cold snort. If you don't make a move, I'm going to leave, Fairy Wanna said in a cold voice. This grand formation. Can you walk away? Qin Zibai said in a cold voice. Instead, Fairy Wanna flipped her hand. Who you? A coffin was taken out from the storage space. Qin Zibai revealed a hint of doubt. Fairy Wanna flipped her hand to open the lid of the coffin, and the interior instantly revealed a bronze figure. A zither figurine. Qin Zibai frowned slightly. Yes, a zither figurine. HMPH. So what if it's a zither figurine? You're Zither Dao. You haven't reached that realm yet. Manipulating a zither figurine requires playing a genie. Qin Zibai was halfway through his sentence. Ding ding ding. Fairy Wanna once again dropped her zither. In an instant, a small elf surged out from the zither, instantly rushing into the zither figurine. Buzz! The bronze man within the coffin steeply opened his eyes, and a green light erupted from his eyes. Boom! The bronze man instantly moved, exploding the coffin and stepping out. Around the bronze man, an intense aura of solemnity emanated, blowing the sand within the large formation that immediately flew. This is the lower heavenly palace's zither figurine. Qin Zibai's face sank. Above a mountain peak in the distance, the white-clothed teenager, however, narrowed his eyes slightly. Oh, Wanna, she actually made a breakthrough in Zither Dao. Break the formation for me. Fairy Wanna drank. Yes, master, the zither figurine answered. It was naturally not too difficult for the strength of the heaven-opening palace to break the formation. With a probing palm, he struck towards the base of the formation. Want to run? How could it be that easy? HMPH. Qin Zibai's eyes glared as he ushered in a palm with his probing hand. Boom! The Qin figurine was immediately knocked back. Qin Zibai was ultimately a middle heavenly palace expert. How could a lower heavenly palace, mighty zither figurine be his opponent? Boom! The earth cracked. Qin Zibai's aura around him suddenly blossomed out, instantly suppressing Fairy Wanna as she retreated back and forth. Instead of being fearful, the Wanna fairy revealed a cold smile. Qin Zibai had finally made his move. Outside the formation, Tian rushed out of the grand formation with over 2,000 vampires. Suddenly, endless bats covered the sky, shrouding all four directions. Tian's aura blossomed out around him, and a stormy wind came straight in the direction of Gu Hai, as if it was going to blow Gu Hai down. Grasping the long bronze sword, Gu Hai coldly looked at the opposite side of Tian. Emperor Da Wong. Gu Hai coldly laughed. Tian coldly looked at Gu Hai, Emperor of Great Han. Hey, yet I don't understand what you have to rely on. You just entered the Yuanying realm, and you also want to deal with me. Squeak, 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 squeak. The surrounding bats all revealed hideous colors, as if they would rush towards Gu Hai together as long as Shi Yan gave the order. As soon as the aura of Shi Yan's heaven opening palace was released, the terrifying pressure was unknown how much stronger than Gu Hai. Gu Hai is alone, just one person, and you want to go against us. Not against you, but trying to kill you, Gu Hai said in a cold voice. As he spoke, he saw Gu Hai holding a ghost-shaped spirit stone between the middle finger of his index finger. He pressed it in a vague manner. Boom. Steeply, with Gu Hai as the center, a rolling fog gushed out, enveloping the sky full of bats in an instant. It's a great formation. Gu Hai has been constantly shouting just to lure Shi Yan and the others out into his ambush circle. Li Shenji had a coldness in his eyes. Huh, my lord. How is it possible? Didn't Gu Hai just arrive? How could there be a formation trap? Isn't it the false stone man? Before Gu Hai came, he had already told the faux stone man to bury spirit stones at the point of the ground, just waiting for Gu Hai to activate it. Li Shenji narrowed his eyes as he looked downwards. I said, how did Gu Hai dare to come alone? So it turns out that he had already set up traps. Hehe, it's a pity that He Yan is in the lower heavenly palace, unless he sets up a super formation like the Zhengjin sect. It's impossible to trap He Yan, and it seems like the Zhengjin sect's original formation that coalesced a Dorkagu. I heard that it consumed 2 billion upper-grade spirit stones. Gu Hai definitely doesn't have that many spirit stones right now. This trap of Gu Hai's is useless. A subordinate on the side frowned. On top of another mountain peak, the white-clothed boy's eyes narrowed slightly. Chest Dao formation. Young lord, are you sure it's a chest Dao formation? It can't be wrong. And it's the 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal formation of the chess viewing elder. Hey, this Gu Hai actually ate it up and added some more elements in it flat. Hey, no wonder the blade technique earlier carried the great momentum of the chess game within it. So it turns out that his chess power is so amazing. The white-clothed young man said in a deep voice. In the 28 great formations, the moment Gu Hai condensed the great formation, the surrounding vampires and He Yan's faces also changed. Gu Hai didn't dare to delay as he stepped forward and instantly chopped towards the group of vampires. His feet stepped on the heavenly yawn, and his blade chair became a domain, and he immediately chopped out with a purple light that rushed into the sky. Boom! Under the circumstantial one, the power was overwhelming, and the 10 vampires that were leaning together instantly exploded. Countless mists of blood spilled in all directions. Humph, looking for death. Shi Yan instantly pounced. Whew! In the middle of the large formation, Gu Hai's figure strangely appeared in the distance between his steps. Zhou Qiyi. Gu Hai once again slashed down with a single chop. Boom! 6 more vampires were chopped down with a single slash. Bastard, there was anger in Shi Yan's eyes, and the long sword in his hand slashed violently. Boom! A huge sword dipper chopped in front of Gu Hai from a long distance away. Gu Hai's figure shifted and disappeared once again, appearing at another vampire. Zhou Qiyi. Gu Hai once again slashed down. Buzz! Purple light rushed into the sky, and once again, 8 vampires exploded. The vampires were as if they were unbeatable in front of Gu Hai. The white-clothed boy in the outside world was slightly puzzled. Zhou Qiyi. What an odd name. Li Shenji, however, revealed a cold smile. It's useless. He Yan is a heaven-opening palace. Under power, you're not as fast as him. As expected, He Yan really moved. HMPH. Gu Hai, do you really think I can't do anything about you? He Yan let out a cold snort. Whew. The figure shifted, and with a weird speed, it arrived right in front of Gu Hai in a flash. Gu Hai's eyelids flickered, but it was Shi Yan's sword that had already chopped with full force. With no choice, Gu Hai could only draw his sword. Heh, that sword of yours is powerful, but the one you killed was only at the beginning of the Yuanying realm. In front of me, 100 swords of Zhou Tianyi are useless. Shi Yan's face was hideous. The sword dipper even brought out a wave of unrelenting, chopping towards Gu Hai like the sky rising. Gu Hai stepped on the heavenly yuan and glared in his eyes as he swung out his long sword. A new blade chef field once again coalesced around him. However, this time it seemed to be different from the previous one. The aura of the blade che domain suddenly skyrocketed by countless. No, this isn't Zhou Tianyi. On the mountain peak, the white-clothed young man steeply narrowed his eyes slightly. Li Shenji's face also sank. My lord, what's going on in the big formation? We can't see it, and only you with your strength can see it clearly. Tell us about it. A subordinate on the side curiously said. But Li Shenji didn't have any time to explain, and looked at Gu Hai in death as he once again chopped out a blade. This time, the blade was almost 100 times more ferocious than earlier. How is this possible? What blade technique is this? Li Shenji was surprised. Zhou Cha, Gu Hai let out a loud shout. The big dipper carried the blade momentum and collided with the sword dipper with a loud bang. There was a huge collision, and the entire grand formation was enveloped in dazzling purple light in general. The vampires in the surroundings all of a sudden fled. Boom! 30 vampires were blown apart by the aftermath. Shi Yan stood still, but his eyes widened because the sword just now had actually failed to decapitate Gu Hai. How was this possible? The swords collided, and Gu Hai was sent flying as far as 50 feet. 20 backwards footprints were stomped out in a row before he stopped. Ha, ha ha ha. Gu Hai revealed a big smile. How were you able to block one of my swords? Also, with the force of the collision just now, with your Yuanying realm body, you would have been recoiled and blown up long ago, or yet you're fine. Shi Yan glared at Gu Hai. Yeah, I'm fine. Gu Hai laughed coldly. Gu Hai's physical body was made by cultivating external skills. How could this bit of recoil hurt Gu Hai? HMPH. So what if you're fine? You're not my opponent at all. Even if your power skyrocketed just now, you're still no match for me. Gu Hai, you're going to die. Shi Yan said with a cold face. Suffer death. Hey, I already roughly understand your power. Hey, it's far worse than even Kuitai back then. It's almost time to play. No more. Gu Hai, however, smiled coldly. However, he saw Gu Hai probe his hand, and a string puppet pole steeply appeared in his hand. Boom! Flinging it out, steeply, countless transparent thin threads rushed straight towards all the vampires in all directions. Watch out! Shi Yan's face changed, and his sword once again chopped towards Gu Hai. Come here for me. Gu Hai let out a cold snort and waved his probing hand. Boom! The vampires of the four directions, steeply controlled by Gu Hai in general, pulled violently and quickly surged towards Shi Yan, each grasping their swords and daggers and rushing towards Shi Yan with open arms and claws. Ah, Lord, save me, I can't move. Lord, it wasn't me who swung my sword at you, I can't control it. Ah, 2,000 vampires, desperate to meet the amazing Sunshine Sword Dipper. Shi Yan's face changed, and he immediately withdrew his sword. However, the sword dangles were too powerful, and there were still dozens of vampires who were instantly cut down by the sword dangles. The remaining vampires had already arrived in front of Shi Yan. Each one of them was chopped by the sword dangles, and sword dangles